What if a company, pitching itself as an exclusive, high-return investment opportunity, was actually an elaborate house of cards? Imagine giving your hard-earned money to a promising venture, only to discover its entire foundation was built on empty promises and someone else's losses. Here's the stark reality. A recent investigation by FBI agents in Santa Ana just pulled back the curtain on one such operation. We're talking about Lin Tui Liu and Trong Liu, a couple from Yorba Linda, who now face serious charges of wire fraud and money laundering following their arrest this past Wednesday. They were the driving force behind Inventus Ventures Holding Incorporated, based out of Tustin. And this wasn't your typical startup pitching an app. Inventus positioned itself as an exclusive, invite-only corporate capitalization loan program. You know, the kind of sophisticated-sounding investment that promises safety and astonishingly high returns. Almost too good to be true, right? Liu served as the CEO and Liu handled the finances as CFO. The indictment alleges this scheme kicked off in March of 2022 and continued well into early last year. They lured investors, often through word of mouth or referrals from existing clients. A classic tactic to build trust within a seemingly closed-off community. Now, here's where the trap was set. For a minimum loan of just $5,000, Inventus pledged a hefty 15% interest, payable every single month, with your full principal returned at the end of a year-long contract. Or, if you preferred, an annual contract that skipped monthly payments but promised a mind-boggling 360% return, plus your principal back. Think about that for a second. A guaranteed 360% return. That's like putting $1 in and getting $4 back, effortlessly. It's the kind of offer that makes seasoned investors raise an eyebrow. But for those looking for a quick win, it sounds like hitting the jackpot. The indictment also points out a curious detail. Liu actively encouraged investors to make their loans in cash. You might wonder why that matters. Well, cash transactions often leave fewer digital footprints, making them harder to trace, harder to audit, and ultimately, a significant red flag for transparency. But here's the insidious twist, the classic Ponzi scheme playbook in action. The money you loaned wasn't actually invested as promised. Instead, it allegedly became a revolving door. Funds from new investors were immediately siphoned off to pay interest to earlier investors, essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul. The rest? It went towards covering business expenses and, quite lavishly, into the defendant's own pockets. We're not talking about small sums here. The indictment alleges this couple raised approximately $27.5 million from around 1,400 unsuspecting investors. And of that, a staggering $7.4 million allegedly ended up paying for things like 2 sprawling Yorba Linda mansions and a prime waterfront condominium in Huntington Beach. Your investment, meant for corporate capitalization, was instead funding a luxury lifestyle for the scheme's operators. This story reminds us that even in an age of complex financial instruments and digital platforms, the fundamental allure of quick, guaranteed wealth remains a powerful and often dangerous temptation. It serves as a stark warning. If an investment sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Always do your due diligence. And remember, genuine wealth building takes time, not magic. What are your thoughts on how these schemes continue to ensnare people? Share them with us. And if you found this breakdown insightful, please consider subscribing or sharing this episode with a friend who needs to hear it.